So I'm Eric Coslin, Technical Marketing Engineer for Cisco Systems, and I'm going to talk about the Cisco Secure Firewall and the subtitle Intelligent Security Powered by Talos. I emphasize Talos because of the enormous amount of data that Talos acquires. And data is essential to nourish intelligence, whether it be human intelligence or artificial intelligence. We're going to cover a little bit about Cisco's vision, and then we're going to dive into the management platform a bit. And then, depending upon how much time we have, we can talk about the features. There are a lot of new features, so I had to sort of pick and choose. And we can certainly maybe go a little different direction if that's your interest. Now, I will refer to release numbers in my presentation, and for that reason, let me clarify. We're currently at 741, where there is no 7.5. 7.6 is coming out in the fall, and anything past that is the future. So let's talk a little bit about Cisco's vision. And the firewall protects. Protects what? Well, traditionally, right, it protected the infrastructure by protecting the network at the perimeter. And really didn't think too much about what was going on in the infrastructure. But as we move forward and we sort of got a borderless network, the emphasis shifted to workloads and where they were deployed. And segmentation became more important, and also the ability to protect cloud-based workloads as well as on-premise workloads. More recently, the shift has been toward applications. Now, the truth is, it's always been about applications, right? The network, the infrastructure, the workloads, they're just there to facilitate the use of applications. But now they're sort of staring us in the face, and we have to be very conscious of having an application-centric view of security in general and of the firewall in particular. So where are we now? Well, Cisco has a substantial security portfolio. And what we've been doing over the last couple releases is really trying to integrate them, because essentially the way that a firewall functions is by acquiring a great deal of information and then using that information, hopefully in an intelligent way, to create policy and enforce the policy. Just some examples here you see on the slide. CloudLock will have information about the users that are using specific applications in the cloud. That information is not available just by looking at the traffic going to the cloud, but it can inform the firewall. Another, on the lower right, we see Cisco Secure Workload. Cisco Secure Workload understands and learns about application dependencies, and it can actually write the firewall rules to enforce the application dependencies and the segmentation associated with them. And also we have on the bottom right, we have the multi-cloud defense, a relatively new acquisition. Multi-cloud defense understands the inventory of your multi-cloud environment, all the tags that all the VMs have, as well as being able to see the traffic using flow logs and NSG logs and what have you. Again, it can communicate that information, for example, using dynamic policies, and it can get tag information to the firewall. So the firewall can make decisions about what traffic to allow and block as it goes to the cloud. So where are we going? Well, what I've sort of shown you is being consolidated into what we call the security cloud, and we need unified management. This has been a goal for a long time, but we're really going to see it this year, and this is really exciting. We call it a security cloud control. It's basically an evolution of CDO, if you're familiar with our Cisco Defense Orchestrator, but it's much more. So it will manage our devices, existing products, and it is going to be the necessary manager for all future products in the security portfolio. It will get information through a number of integrations and use that information in an intelligent manner to make policy decisions, recommendations, and actually facilitate the writing of policies. It's really, you're going to need some AI here because really things have gotten so complicated that you really are going to need that to navigate your security configuration. And complexity is a vulnerability. So let's go through our portfolio. You know, with our heads in the clouds, it's easy to forget that hardware is underlying all of the capabilities that we're discussing. And we have an aggressive hardware roadmap. We have a variety of hardware solutions, including our Cisco Secure Firewall. And we have an IoT device, the ISA 3000, as well as putting the FTD, the Secure Firewall, into a switch. And we don't want to forget Meraki. Meraki will also be managed through the unified management solution. And of course, we do have a virtual portfolio that's substantial. Now, here's sort of where we are today. And I'm not going to go through this. This is all on data sheets. But I just wanted to put things in context for the new physical firewall, the 1200. Now, this is really a remarkable device. You can see it in the world of solutions. It's lightweight, very quiet. It has really remarkable statistics with regards to power consumption, so that you could use it in a home office where it would be 10 times as fast as our 1010. You could also use it for kind of a small branch office, a potentially medium-sized branch office, where it becomes a solution about 3 times as fast as the R1100 series. So this is really exciting. And you might want, well, how do we get this such great power consumption statistics? It's because we are using in this device the system on a chip, the so-called ARM SoC, and we build the crypto hardware directly into that chip. So you no longer have to be, sending traffic through the bus or between chips in order to do your crypto acceleration. So that's very exciting. It's going to be the 8 1 gig ports for all models. We've got the 2 low models, one with and one without, the 1210, one with and without power over Ethernet. And then the 1220 has the SFP plus interfaces, the 2 10 gig interfaces. And what's the future? Well, can't talk about everything we're doing, but I think that one thing that gets a lot of attention is GPUs. So what we're going to see is really a dramatic improvement in the performance of virtual ASA and FTD, our virtual firewalls in the private cloud, because they're going to be able to utilize the DPU architecture in the high-end servers on which they're running. So that's really exciting. We don't want to maybe pin that down with a date right now, but that's certainly where we're headed. And we've been doing quite a bit of testing with that. As far as our virtual firewall, it's everywhere you'd expect it to be. We really have a broad portfolio of both private and public cloud so that we support. And also, we have done a lot of, as you can see from the bottom of this slide, we've done a lot to create parity between the physical and virtual firewalls. Clustering's a good example of something that's, the more you know about the virtual world, the more you'll recognize that that was a bit of a challenge. And I want to point out in particular the Equinix and Alkira, which I think of as multi-cloud facilitators rather than a cloud of their own. And this is really critical because most of our high-end customers who are migrating to the cloud are migrating to more than one cloud, right? So that which leads to our discussion of multi-cloud defense. Let me make a quick statement as an example. If you want to protect east to west traffic in AWS on all ports and protocols, you need to use a gateway load balancer and transit gateway. If you want to protect all the traffic between east and west on Azure, you cannot use a gateway load balancer. You have to use a network load balancer, and you have to turn on HA port. Now, if you're familiar with those providers, you may have known that. If you didn't understand what I just said, even better, because that's the whole point of multi-cloud defense. You just want to protect stuff going from A to B. You don't want to know the difference between a network load balancer and gateway load balancer, Azure, AWS. Now, and it will orchestrate the creation of the service VPC. It'll set up the transit gateway if that's what you need, install the load balancers, and redirect the traffic by rewriting your routing. If that makes you nervous, just don't click that checkbox and it'll leave the routing alone. You can do it yourself. But that's the bottom line, is that we've abstracted the capabilities of the public clouds, that's AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and Oracle Cloud, into a framework where all you're doing is thinking about policy. I want things that are tagged as web servers to talk to my things that are tagged as database servers. I don't care how you do it, and I don't care which cloud they're in. And another really exciting move is Cisco Hypershield. Because what is a firewall? Well, we think of it as a device, but in a sense, it's really not a device. It's a function. Well, shouldn't everything have that function, right? And in a sense, that's our vision. The firewall everywhere. Now, that's going to take some time, so I don't have a specific release for the entire vision, but we're going to see part of it this year. So one place is the Linux kernel. That's maybe you could say the easiest because of eBPF. So you actually work in the kernel, and that's the really sort of surefire way to make sure that you're not that you can intercept traffic or the behavior of processes spawning other processes. Now, we could also have it on a server with a DPU. We could have it in a switch. And think about it. Think about a switch port being a point of enforcement. Well, of course it is. The traffic goes through the switchboard. But being an intelligent point of enforcement that has the capabilities of a firewall. And one thing that I like about, I like a lot of things about Hypershield. It's a real exciting product. But one thing that I like about it, particularly, is that it really gives credence to our unified management story, because this device, this product is never going to know a manager other than security cloud control. So that leads us to, one other thing I wanted to say, because it's really incredible, is the dual data plane. And the dual data plane allows you to do upgrades and certify the upgrades, as well as do policy, what we call modeling. So when AI says, disable those 250 rules, are you going to believe it? But what you could do is you could put it on the backup data plane, which will get copies of every packet. You'll be able to watch it for a while, see if it's really doing what you want to do. And then when you're comfortable, you can do the switch over. Anyway, let's get to management. The AI assistant is already available What's interesting, though, is it's going to be available on the firewall. So all you need is an FMC. Of course, it will be in the unified manager. And we're going to see this become ubiquitous across Cisco products. What this does is it, of course, understands the corpus of our Cisco documentation. It can find tell you how to do things, but it also can help you in your design of your policies, particularly very complex policies. It can identify rules that are redundant and so forth. And now what we're going to be seeing in 7.6 is it can actually create rules for you. It can orchestrate your policy development. And that's what I wanted to actually show here in a very brief video. So we just ask it, of course it's good at human language, to create a rule to perform a specific task. Now again, ultimately, if this were something we were doing with Hypershield, we might want to do this on the backup data plane. We can certainly, give some thought to whether we really like what we're seeing here. But if it looks right, we click yes. And now it's actually deploying the rule. Now in this release, we're going to be a little bit cautious. It's going to deploy the rule as a disabled rule. Here we can actually see how it's added that to the rule table. And you can actually see it's kind of grayed out. That means it's disabled. You can go in, you can modify it, you delete it if it's wrong, or enable it. As far as security cloud control, I'm not going to read this slide for you. It's everything you would want in a unified manager. So this is really exciting, bringing all the information together into a dashboard. And here you can actually see the dashboard. Notice the elephant flows. That's some pretty useful information that you can drill down into about your long-term flows that can be causing problems for Snort. The policy information, we see all the risk stuff coming in here, and the monitoring information, for example, for all the VPNs, as well as the change management. So just as an example, here's the policy optimizer. I could go on and on, but this is something that's very useful, and it allows you to identify rules that are overlaps, that are anomalous, and so forth. And here it found 323 duplicate rules, which you can now optionally take action on. In this case, it's asking us if we want to submit a support ticket to have these rules disabled. Now let's talk about the firewall. And this is something I could talk about for a couple hours, but obviously I have about 10 minutes. And that's all the innovation that is going into the firewall product. So I'll start with ZTNA. I think we all know that ZTNA is a clientless solution to accessing applications. And the whole sort of design principle is that it shouldn't matter where the applications are. They could be in the cloud, they could be on-prem, and it shouldn't matter where the person trying to use the application is. He can be on-prem, he can be connected, he could be remote. And you hit the firewall communicates with the IDP, it does your authorization, and if authorized, allows you to go to utilize that application. Very straightforward. You're going to see as time progresses, it's already available, ZTNA. As time progresses, we're going to move. One thing I'll say is, I'm used to saying ZTNA. We prefer the term ZTAA. And I really like that because network access, again, is only a means to an end. The end is application access. And furthermore, it's not good enough to give access to an application. You have to monitor how the application is being used and enforce its appropriate use. So it's really something much more than just giving access to the network once someone has been authorized. Now, there's a number of features that we've been evolving over the last few releases, having to do with SD-WAN-like capabilities. So that if you don't want to purchase an entire SD-WAN solution like Viptela, you can get a lot of the functionality, maybe all you need, in the firewall. So back even before 7.2, we introduced application-based routing. And actually, the way this worked was pretty straightforward, but different than our competitors. I think we really approach this better. We have a database of IP addresses and FQDNs. And that's updated by Talos, so Talos keeps track of this. Because if you want to route the application, you've got to know where to send the SID packet, right? So you've got to be able to tell right from the get-go what this is. And so we do DNS snooping to identify what FQDN this traffic actually applies to. And then we look that up in a database. So very lightweight. This is all done on the first packet. And you assign it an application and then decide how to route it. What we introduced in 7.2 was path monitoring. So now we can monitor the multiple paths to multiple ISPs, for example, and keep track of which one has the best characteristics. And that can vary over time. For example, you can create a policy that simply says, I want my video conferencing, or actually VoIP would be a better example, to go over the connection with the least jitter. And it will find the connection with the least jitter, and periodically it might change its mind and start doing VoIP over a different route. The other thing that we're doing with SD-WAN in 7.6 is automating the overlay, which can be quite complicated. We're going to have a wizard that basically takes it creates a dynamic tunnel interface on the hub, and using templates, it allows an automation of the creation of the spokes. It'll create the overlay, establish the VPN tunnels, and even perform the BGP configuration. All through a wizard, very slick, very scalable. One of our gifts to the open source community, Cisco created a Snort ML, machine learning capabilities within Snort, an engine within Snort that is getting Snort beyond the static signature step, basically bringing it into the real world of today, where you have to learn stuff through training, through your machine learning, and then apply it. So what we're going to finally see, real zero-day threat protection, without understanding even exactly the patterns that you need for a static Snort rule. Eve, the encrypted visibility engine, this has been around for a while, but it keeps getting better. It uses the metadata of the connection, mainly the client hello. And what it does is it creates a fingerprint from the client hello and from some other metadata, and it just looks it up in a database. We're talking about looking at one, maybe two packets to determine this information. And the database is updated by Talos, who uses machine learning models to maintain and enhance the database. And this allows you to identify an application potentially malicious without actually decrypting the traffic. It's decryption, it's a losing battle, right? Here, I want to show you how easy it is to configure and also give you an idea of the features at the same time. Here's our access control policy, and we can turn it off altogether. We can decide what we want to do with the information. Do we want to use the information in our policies or just inform us? And what do we do with its opinion of the malicious traffic? Well, we can set a threshold and say, if you're 75% confident that that's malicious traffic, we want it blocked. Quick is a rapidly being adopted. And currently, most solutions will do a downgrade to if they need to do deep inspection. We've got a couple ways of approaching Quick. One is Eve can detect it, and you can make a decision based on its presence. The other is that that we can actually decrypt it and do full stack decryption. That's coming in 7.6. Our vision for decryption is to decrypt less than 10% of the traffic overall using Eve and also using Kenna, which is now called the Cisco Vulnerability Management, to determine the relevance of the threat, add Eve to the potential maliciousness, and then make a decision to decrypt. And that's what we're looking forward to introducing. And with that, I conclude my presentation. I want to remind you that this is AI powered with Talos, that this is a future-ready firewall platform, and we continue to evolve the hardware and the software to give you the intelligent security at scale. And I appreciate the time that you gave me this afternoon to talk to you.